After 13 years of exposing lies in the media, I discovered the biggest lie of all. They want you to think racism is random, accidental, just bad people doing bad things. But what if I told you anti-black racism was engineered, programmed like software, marketed like a product, and designed to survive across generations? That's exactly what I prove in my new book, Us versus the Machine, How Anti-Black Racism Was Programmed, Marketed, and Made to Survive. This isn't another book about what racism looks like. This is the blueprint of how it was built, who profits from it, and most importantly, how to dismantle it. I spent years connecting dots that they never wanted connected, following money trails that they thought were buried, exposing the machine that runs on our oppression. Knowledge is power, but strategic knowledge is liberation. Get Us versus the Machine on Amazon today, because once you understand the system, you can beat the system.
I once heard you say diversity, equity, and inclusion policies have been a failure to the black community. Can you elaborate what you meant when you made this statement?
Well, diversity, equity, inclusion is no different than affirmative action. It's a remix, right? So we know affirmative action did not benefit black Americans. It has benefited white women more than any other group. Diversity, equity, and inclusion benefits white women more than any other group. It's the same thing. Then you get out of white women, you start to white LGBT, white disabled. You haven't even got out the white category yet. Then you start talking about all these other groups like Asians and, Arabs and Hispanics and everybody else. And we always at the bottom of diversity, equity, inclusion. There are more white women teaching diversity, equity, inclusion than black women. This recently came out in a, article I saw in even Forbes, where a black woman wrote about how white women benefit the most out of diversity, equity, inclusion. Now, the reason why white men don't like diversity, equity, inclusion programs or affirmative action, because they can't benefit from it. That's it. Actually, white men are the only group who can't benefit from that specifically, but they woman can. Now, they woman could be married to them and funnel those resources that was technically meant for black Americans back to their community, but they woman don't really want to fool with them at times, and so they mad they can't get all the resources. So any black person fighting for diversity, equity, inclusion programs would just go back to fighting for affirmative action. That's all it is a remix.
Can you break down more how white women benefit from it?
Well, white women is considered they got put in, when you hear them say women, think about that. You say minorities, but yet they say women. And every time they say women, they've always meant white women, because black women is considered in a quote unquote minority, right? So why did you have to have a separate category to say women, but technically it means white women? White women can get all the benefits that was meant for black women, right? Or any other woman who has some melanin to her. So that's the issue and problem. So even with this affirmative action, let's say the affirmative action decision, Supreme Court, when, some people in the Asian community thought that would be actually good for them, but actually that was extremely bad. And we kind of laughed at that decision. Why we didn't even care about it, because the media thought that we was going to be upset about, oh my God, they got rid of affirmative action in college. No, because we wasn't even benefiting from that.
And can you talk about more how the Asians, I saw it seemed to really flip the script on them, and Asians, can you talk about how they had a false hope in what occurred with affirmative action?
Well, I will say, I'm not going to say all, like we always going to say about some of them for sure, thought that, well, we're labeled as the mild minority. We're liked a little bit better, definitely, than the black people. Because you have to understand, when people come to this country, and there have been many people been saying this, they've been told stay away from black Americans. Even some of our distant cousins from the African continent, Caribbean, etc., have been told to stay away from black Americans. Oh, we so scary. Well, in order to be on team white supremacy, you got to stay away from black Americans. Bottom line. So they thought that, well, more black people are getting into these Ivy League universities, when technically, when you look at the numbers, more Asians were getting in than black folks were. But what ended up happening, how they screwed themselves, is that once now they remove affirmative action, these policies were getting them into the universities. Now more white legacy students could get in. The legacy students is people who went there, the big donors to the universities. So now they screwed themselves when more white legacy students would get into the university versus not before they could actually got in. I mean, they are paying thousands of dollars to certain recruiters. They doing all these tests, And now a white legacy student don't have to pay nothing but just show up and getting a spot. But they thought they was going to hurt the black man and woman because they believed the white supremacists to say, oh, them black people taking your spot. They don't deserve it. That's what happens when you believe the devil. He always going to screw you in the end. And hey, I look at it like this. That's what you get. Trying to harm black folk, you hurt yourself in the end.
For our viewers, can you explain what is passive aggressive racism?
Well, the majority of the racism you're going to have is going to be considered more passive aggressive. It's not going to be your in your face, your clan racism. You know, it's going to be like the nuances of white supremacy. It's going to be the microaggressions of white supremacy. That's what you're going to deal with on the daily, like them making up certain rules that you know that's targeting you, but they're not calling you the N-word. You understand? Or certain, you know, price points they have put things at because they studied where black people are at economically. So they say, okay, we're going to move the price points here because we know in the city, most black people only make, let's say, $45,000. So we're going to make it $85,000. It's just the nuances that they do, you know, to us, or certain things they may say, certain stereotypes, but they don't call you the N-word, right? So that's more so what that focuses on and what we deal with, knowing when to see it and when to hear it.
What does passive aggressive racism look like in corporate America?
In corporate America, for us, definitely the glass ceiling. For us in corporate America, you could be the most educated, and then you'll bring a white person in, you will train them, and within a year, they'll be your boss. Now you say, that's not racism, they was better. Really? You got 10 years experience, you never been late, you brought the company a lot of money, but he comes in or she comes in, you train your own supervisor. You know good and well that don't happen. You have never seen none of your white coworkers be done like that, but you. Or you bring different ideas, projects, but you never get brought up to the board, but yet your white coworker, they hardly do anything. Listen, one thing I know about white people, they can just be mediocre and get above you, or get above the most best and brightest black person because of what happens in this system of white supremacy. Like the white is currency, black is bad in this country. So we got to fight against that. Unfortunately, that's why I don't believe in us giving our talents to corporate America. I believe learn from corporate America, learn, get all the skills you can, and then create your own business. There's no glass ceiling with our own businesses.
And also too, man, I observed that, but I think there's a level of delusion in people being unrealistic and not acknowledging nepotism, people taking care of themselves. You know, because most black-owned establishments I know, especially smaller ones, not humongous ones, the majority of employees are black people. So I don't see why we're looking for something different in their institution.
Well, nepotism is a real thing, and I know exactly what you're talking about with nepotism, but not all white people know each other like that. So you mean to tell me this guy just come off the street that, okay, I can get it if you say, oh, he knows him, he knows her. But somebody just came in, as I explained earlier, he didn't know them. So how is it nepotism? Because you have to use to know the person to promote the person up. They do it based on skin color. So you could say nepotism, but no, it's white supremacy. Because if they were like that, then they would do this for the black person too.
You wrote a book called 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, right? Can you share what you believe are the 2 most important steps to the decolonization of one's mind?
Ooh, boy, I can even amend that book today because I've learned so much. But really, the first thing, you know, in my opinion, is just knowing who you are, right? Because the one thing that this society tries to do is remove you from who you are, remove you, first of all, from your community. If you are removed from your community, you have nothing. They don't want you to connect yourself back to even to your history here in America, all the greats, you know, where we come from. They just want us to think that we are a slave, right? We're way more than a slave. We have built America. We innovated America. Even before that time, you know, we were building things, doing things in the African continent and even all over the world. So they don't want us to connect to their history. So the first thing we have to do is just get a knowledge of self. Once you get a knowledge of self and actually start loving yourself and saying, it's okay, the skin color, it's okay, my hair, it's okay, you know, my history, my people, that's okay. And believe it or not, there are some people that still have an identity crisis with themselves because they just hate themselves because America teaches you in society to be anti-black. It don't matter where you come from. It is like the foundation of America to teach anti-black racism. So we have to unlearn that, because a lot of us hate ourselves. We hate our people. Like a brother step on your shoe, you're ready to kill him. But let Master Charlie over here step on your shoe. Oh, it's no problem, sir. We still like that to this day, unfortunately. And I would say the second thing that we definitely need to do to decolonize, our mind, is just to say this. We need to speak our mind more than anything else. And because they teach us, don't say anything, be quiet, go along to get along, right? And go along to get along, what I've seen and learned, don't get you nowhere. So you definitely need to speak your mind, be courageous, be bold, because that's the two things. They cannot stand a black man for sure, or a black woman that's courageous and bold. They hate that. That's why they want to put a black man in a dress. That's why they only cool with you, if you're LGBT. But if you're a straight-laced, heterosexual black man that's alpha male talking a certain way, they fear that. So you got to be more into that more than anything else.